Okay, so today's lesson we're diving into the very exciting topic of your zone of excellence and your zone of genius. Now I've combined these two together, but please do these exercises in isolation, separate from each other. To recap on the definitions of both of them is your zone of excellence is something that you're incredibly skilled at. So it's like supercharged zone of competence tasks, if you can imagine what that is. So this is where you're particularly skilled, you have maybe mastered this, you have spent those 10,000 hours like becoming brilliant at this thing. And they're tasks that you can be handed and you can get on with, and you do them more efficiently and much better than other people, and you're usually remarked upon as it being something that you're particularly skilled in. But it usually has been a learned task of something that you were originally competent in and you just worked to become more skilled at it. So when you're thinking about these things, what I want you to do is, again, do these similar lists. And what it is obviously looking at, life in general. But if you do find yourself swaying towards doing work things as well, that's great, because it's a really good pointer and start identifying some key areas. The difference that I would say with this one is think about things that you're truly, truly skilled at. Like, that people would search you out for particularly, but it's a skill that you've learned, and it's something that you can just do very efficiently and very effectively. Once you've done that list, then we're going to switch over to look at zone of genius. Now, the big difference between these two is the feelings that you get when you do them. So if you can imagine, zone of excellence is usually you will feel a sense of like, this is good, I'm good at this, yep, I can get on with this, I'm very efficient, I'm very effective at this, versus when you're in your zone of genius, you can feel a sense of flow. So to recap on what like flow feels like, it's where people describe themselves as being in the zone. So this is something that you just inherently, naturally have always been very, very good at. The task or the activity starts to happen, and woof, your brain just goes and off it goes. And you just find that your brain just goes like, yep, I love this, yep, I'm doing this, and just jumps in and is like 100% committed with it. You feel buzzy, you feel like energized, you feel like electric feeling, you can feel very just in your own little world sometimes. Like, if you're immersed in this task, it's like nothing else is going on. Like, you don't think about anything else that's going on in your personal life or anything like that. You're just totally in the zone. And the other thing that I would think is a very important signpost for this feeling is once you finish that activity or you finish that thing, you kind of, the buzzy residual feeling lasts for quite a long time afterwards. So that sense of fulfillment, that inner fulfillment, lasts for a good period of hours even after the activity. You maybe come off that amazing call that you just had with people, and your brain was just firing, you had this incredible conversation. This is one of mine, by the way. But like, your brain has just pulled all these interesting things during this conversation, and like later on, you're still like a little bit buzzy, like there's a residual sort of like buzziness that's still going on afterwards. Or it's, maybe if you're an artist and you've just painted this painting and you feel this just sense of like you're in the studio and you just honestly, like, stuff could be going on outside and you would just not even care because you've got the paintbrush and you're painting and you're on it, And we've all seen films where we've seen people doing this. We've all seen people who are like in this zone of genius, who are like scribbling away, or the writer that's writing at 3 a.m, like hasn't got up to, eat or sleep or anything, is just like in the zone. So it's very different to that feeling of excellence, which is where you're really sort of executing brilliantly, but there's not this like full body, like full mind engagement in the task. You're not fully 100% immersed in it. There's still a few sort of thoughts trickling on of different things and other stuff that's going on in life, and you're kind of aware that's going on maybe in the office or in your home. But when you're in zone of genius, you're really, really keying into these things that you are just in the zone, like almost in your own little bubble. And you feel like everything is engaged. You've got all the tools there ready to pull down in your mind in the moment when you're doing the task. And so this is an important delineation to make between the two, and it's why I like you to journal on them separately. So do your zone of excellence and be very strict with yourself about whether it falls into that buzzy, excited flow state that I was just talking about, because if it does, then that will be something that will fall in your zone of genius. And again, think of activities in the home and also in your work if you want to. If you find yourself sort of really focusing in on work, make sure you add that extra column for just life and activities outside of work, for example, because it is really important that we embrace all areas of this. I'm sure your dream day didn't just involve your working day, and so this exercise to really engage it and align it with your dream day is to think about both of these things together. So Enjoy this one, guys. It's quite an interesting, exciting experiment to sort of go through. And again, with these, you're not going to be marking them down whether you want to increase them, reduce them, whatever. It's literally just these lists, and this is just a self-observation without judgment, and just looking openly and objectively at what are the things that I'm excellent at, and what are the things that I'm in my zone of genius at, and really trying to define each of them. Sometimes it can be useful to start the list and then like take a break and then come back to it, because what I find is, again, what I was saying is why I have these breaks in between, is you can sort of subconsciously sort of turn and observe yourself during your day, and you'll start to see and identify these different things coming up for you. So have a bit of a think about those definitions and then get journaling on these lists.